The NSE started this week on a positive note. The composite all-share index rose 0.45% today to close at 37,937 points, lifted by Nestle Nigeria, Forte Oil, PZ Cousins, amongst other high-cap companies. Joining me to analyze the market's activity is Seun Adesoye. She's the head of stockbroking at Associated Asset Managers. Thank you so much, Seun, for joining us. So, Seun, the market is starting this week on a pretty bright note. We've seen it trade within the range over the last 2 weeks. Your thoughts about the fact that we're seeing it make a fairly significant gain today? Is this something that is getting you a little excited, given the fact that we've seen quite a few results over the last few weeks?
For me, I think it's worthy of note that the effect of the CRR on the banking stock is, I would say, is also largely responsible for the activities in the market. We will see that most of the transactions in the market are driven by the first-tier banks. I mean, if you look at the results so far, you see for a GT Bank, for example, the bottom line went up by well over 9%. That shows that the banks have repriced their assets and they're not doing badly. So for me, it's worthy to make, there's enough reason to get us excited and to get the market excited.
All right, let's talk a bit about some of those results. TransCore, we just spoke to the CEO earlier today, and he made a very interesting point. He made the point that the conglomerate's target is to double revenues and profits over 5 years. So we have seen very significant growth over the last 2 years, and they seem to be on track to do that. So are you one of the big believers in TransCore? It's one of the companies investing in Nigeria's power sector, and we've seen Forte Oil lead the market. It's up over 800% this year. TransCore up quite a bit as well.
Yes, for me, I think the power sector is a step in the right direction for TransCore, and I believe strongly that it's just a matter of time before it begins to translate. Maybe in another 2 years, we'll begin to see the effect of this purchase, and I have no doubt in my mind that the forecast by the CEO is very well achievable.
Right, but are you as big a believer as a broker we spoke to earlier today? He thinks this is the best stock in the market right now.
Well, I have no doubt that there's a lot of potentials in TransCore right now. I mean, considering where it's coming from and how he has fared so far, and with the potentials of the power investments, of course, if we go by what the CEO has said, if by the time they begin to triple, the power investment begins to yield, I mean, you can't begin to imagine if they're able to double the output of the power line right now. You can't begin to imagine how much that will translate with. And so for me, I believe strongly that there's a lot of potentials in TransCore.
All right, so that is the stock to watch going forward. But let's talk about Computer Warehouse. They are planning to list on the NSE. I think they're going to be engaging investors later on this month. So finally, we're beginning to see a company come to this market. I think it's been quite disappointing there when you look at this year. Yes, the market has done pretty well, but then we haven't seen the listings that a lot of people were hoping for. But finally, it seems like we're going to get one before the end of the year.
Yes, I think it's just an indication that the investors' apathy for the market, even the listed companies, the apathy for the market is beginning to wane. And I think for me, that's kudos to the exchange. They've done well. So far, they have improved on their marketing, and I believe that with the incoming of a Computer Warehouse, it's not impossible that some other things may happen. We still have some few days to the end of the year.
Right, but why do you think we're not seeing enough listings? If you look at the results, not even just the results, the performance of quite a few companies, a lot of people saying valuations are stretched, and one gets the sense that that is a great environment for companies to begin to think of issuing new shares, perhaps at a discount to the market price, but we're not seeing enough of that.
But if we're talking of valuations being stretched, the valuations that are being stretched are in the consumer goods, which most times are multinationals, and they really do not have a need to raise money. Maybe it's time for us to begin to encourage them that if they would only come at a discount, they increase their free float, and then, of course, people will be willing to go. The reason their prices are being stretched is because there's not enough of it. So maybe, like you said, it might just be the right time for them to come again to the market.
Well, I think that's a fair point. The companies that a lot of people point to as being overpriced right now are the likes of Nestle, Guinness, Nigerian Brewery. So definitely multinational companies. Okay, so in this context, which stocks do you like going into this week? Which stocks are you excited about? We've talked about TransCore. You're clearly bullish about that stock. But what else do you think investors should be loading up on now?
Well, I think a Diamond Bank, for example, won't be bad to look at. I see a lot of potentials in it. If we looked at the results, they've not done badly either, and you can say that the effect of the CRR has not hit them as terribly as it did some other bank. A Sterling Bank, too, for me, it's a buy.